Welcome, everybody. We are June 24th. Holy moly, just 5 more days left of this amazing, incredible Summer Reading Regatta. Tonight, we are focusing on LGBT fiction. We have 2 really cool authors with us tonight. We'll introduce you to them in just a few minutes. But first, we want to talk about our Sailor Shore School. Andrew, are you in a safe place?
I am not, so
okay, I will do it. Thank you for being safe. So, Sailor Shore School, this is a series of workshops that we've been presenting all month, and we'll continue to present 2 more of them before the end of the month. We started on June 7th with Caroline Tepperman. Hey, Caroline! Caroline did images as prompts, views, port, and starboard. We had a lot of fun with photographs as visual prompts. Thanks to Caroline. Drake is now causing me so much grief. Yeah, thanks, Caroline. Okay, on June 10th, Kate McNeil brought us street and launch teams with all hands on deck. This session was so packed full of information. You've got to download it and get the transcript because you're going to want to highlight stuff and underline stuff and circle stuff and just do that. June 15th, we had D.A. Deborah Reed doing opening lines, You Had Me at the Hook. This was a super fun interactive workshop, so you'll get to do a little bit of writing with this one as well. And then coming up on June 27th, which by the way is Sunday, for those of you keeping track, Andrew Smith will do Weapons in Fiction, Shots Across the Bow. He's going to talk about the accurate things about how to write weaponry into your fiction, lots of different kinds of weapons, and this is a PG-13 rated program because weaponry is something that we think should be supervised by adults. So make sure that when you sign in that you are supervising those who might be a little more sensitive around you. And then on June 28th, which I believe is Monday, if my calendar is correct, is Brent Sass and our own Kristoffer Gair, and they're going to be doing World Building Land Ho. Chris, just real quick, what is that tagline, Building Worlds by?
Every time I see it, it's either building them by mystique or how I do it by mistake.
Yes, I love that, and it's going to be so much fun. Brent and Kristoffer are a great team, and it's going to be a blast. So come and join us for that. All of these workshops, if you're seeing them live for the next 2, are $5, and you get the video replay and the PDF download of the transcript as well, or you can download the ones that have already happened. They're anchored on our website, and you can get them for $10 for the download, including the transcript. So check those out if you have time. Tonight, and by the way, all the workshops are going to be available on our website in perpetuity. So if you can't get to them this month, you can always check them out at a later date. Tonight, we're doing some really cool stuff. We're going to start with Kristoffer Gair. Super amazing Kristoffer Gair, who has also written under the pen name Cage Allen, and we're going to talk about that. In his book, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to My Sexual Orientation, which in itself is a really fun title. I am super impressed that you came up with this title. I think it's really fun. I think it's really neat that you bucked all convention and made your title longer than it needed to be, so kudos on that.
I was into really long titles at the time.
So talk about, first of all, before you talk about the book, I'd like you to just share with us a little bit of your experience of writing under a pseudonym and then coming out of the pseudonym closet, what that process was like.
Okay. After college, I was approached to write a book from one of my former high school teachers, which I did under my actual name, and that was Honor Unbound. After that experience, I decided that I wanted to go solo, write my own books, write my own stories, and I wanted to do that with gay characters in the lead, stories about gay characters. And I wanted to write things that I had never read growing up or that were not available to me or I could never find. I couldn't find comedies that were about 18-year-old students or gay students who were coming out. I wanted to write something that really spoke to me, because if it did to me, then maybe it would someone else. During that time, it was about the late 90s when I started doing this. And I thought, well, was not the safest time in the world to be out. It was, especially with the internet and AOL, the chat rooms and everything else, people
Sure.
had a way of finding you. So I thought, well, I'll come up with a pseudonym. So I took my initials, KAG, added an E, and my husband and I, who I was dating at the time, was my boyfriend. He and I share the same middle name, which he swears up and down his name is the proper spelling of it, which is ALAN versus mine ALLEN. So I took that, put them together, came up with Gage Allen, and ended up publishing 3 books and 5 short stories and anthologies under that name before I decided I was not going to do that anymore. That decision was made in 2017 when I was having to cope with several deaths, friends and family, and trying to maintain a pseudonym, trying to maintain me. And it was just me going in several different places. My husband just said, yeah, we're going to stop doing that. Here's what you're going to do. Stopped writing for 6 months. And when I came back out of it, I just simply started writing under my own name. Figured the heck with it.
Good. Well, I'm glad you did, because now I get to tell everybody that I know you. So it's really cool. Tell us a little bit about the book. First of all, give us the setup for the book, and then give us some insight about how you decided to write this particular story, because it's kind of funny. Both funny, haha, and funny, strange. Take that as a compliment, because that's how it's meant. So how did you come to write this particular story?
I took a trip to California when I was between my freshman and sophomore year of college. Took it with my grandmother because her husband had passed away. She was dating another guy. He said he would not go to California with her. And they said, well, do you want to accompany grandma out to California? Well, yes, please. Absolutely, I would. So I stayed with her and her brother, who is he is a character. He is a prankster. This is the type of man who, if I walked when I was 12 years old and I was in California, walked into a supermarket with him, had not had much experience with him, and we're passing these group of employees, and he says, now don't let me catch you shoplifting again. And I'm like, what in the world? So I based a character on him, based a character on my grandmother. It's exaggerated quite a bit, but I thought, okay, I'm going to take a college student who's between those years, put him in California, put him in with this wacky group of relatives, and just let it fly and see where it goes. But I'm going to give him a romantic interest that really forces him to reevaluate his life, eventually would come out, and just have some fun with it in a way that I wanted to try writing comedy. This was my first attempt at writing comedy.
Well, first attempt, congratulations. I mean, you hit it right out of the park. So I'm super impressed. When I first met you, I was super impressed all over the place, because you wrote a story about a dog that just knocked me out. So then everything I've read, I've just been really impressed with your work. I'm so grateful for your friendship. Thank you so very much.
I have enjoyed every bit of it with you as well.
Thank you.
And you introduced me to Kate. How could I not love you for that?
You'll find a way. So, Kristoffer, would you read a little bit for us, please?
Sure. The setup of this, the main character, his name is Andy Stevenson, has landed in California with his grandmother. Her brother has picked him up, the brother who just causes all sorts of trouble, will not call him by his name Andy, gives him every other name which starts with an A except Andy. They have driven to the party, except the uncle decides they're going to park many, many blocks away. So they are walking up to the party. The main character is he's fit to be tied. He's had a rotten time since they landed, especially dealing with this particular uncle. So they've gotten out and they are walking to the party.
Okay.
Are you sure you know where you're going? Grandma had just about enough guessing. It's only another 2 blocks. I just didn't want to park the car too close. We'll have an easier time getting out of the subdivision if we aren't all blocked in and waiting in line. I also hate putting that beauty in with all the other cars. I'm always afraid someone will try and take off with it. Uncle Chester laughed heartily and then lowered his voice. Hot dog, you may want to tell Abner there to quit walking so funny. I'm sure Chad and Richard are going to be at the party. He rolled his eyes. They've never passed up an opportunity to flaunt themselves, and I don't think we'll want to give his cousins the wrong idea, especially since he doesn't have a girlfriend. It's bad enough what they do outside the family, so I think if we can avoid any additional unnecessary scenes, we should try to do so. He gave me a piteous look and then turned back around. Chad and Richard. I'd never heard of these cousins. Who the heck were they? And why had Uncle Chester spoken about them with such distaste? I looked at Grandma. What is he talking about? Flaunt what? Well, she looked uncomfortable. Some people don't always follow in the footsteps that are best for them in life. There are a few cousins you have who will be here tonight who are like that. Sometimes, she paused, they choose to ignore the morals their parents, teachers, and ministers have tried to instill in them and instead go down a more sinful path. Oh, I sighed in relief. That was no big deal, for crying out loud. Why didn't you just say there were going to be politicians here? She and Uncle Chester exchanged worried glances. Not politicians. Grandma let her brother and his wife get a ways ahead of us, then drew me in closer to her and whispered in my ear, homosexuals. In California? Was she kidding? I've never actually thought to wonder where they lived before, but this was a bit of a surprise. What was the attraction to this state? Something else occurred to me. If they were in California, then they could be in anywhere. Alaska, Hawaii, the Virgin Islands, Cincinnati. I wondered if there were any in Michigan. Did I know any? I might not have even known about my cousins if Uncle Chester hadn't said anything. Crap, that meant they could also be anyone, and I might not be able to tell the difference. Well, what should I do? My face suddenly felt very warm and my palms were sweating. For starters, Grandma grabbed my shoulders and forced me to stand up straight. Quit slouching. I never understood why you have such bad posture. How about, I stared up at the sky and then back down at her in a rather dramatic manner, because Uncle Chester smashed my you-know-whats with my suitcase and then repeatedly hit bumps all the way here. I know you don't have you-know-whats, but maybe you can imagine how that felt. I'll clue you in. Painful. It was so severe in the beginning, I figured I'd have to wait a few days if I'd been planning on making any babies. After the first half hour, though, it all went numb. And you know what? It's still numb. Despite being a clever insult, numb you-know-whats are not a good thing. Grandma didn't quite know what to say. It had probably been a long time since she'd seen a pair of you-know-whats, but I was certain she could remember what they looked like and imagine the pain involved in what I had just been through. Are you okay? Grandma asked meekly. Better. I attempted to sound a bit more cheery while easing a cramp from standing up straight. Now come on, Uncle Chester and Aunt Virginia are waiting for us. Grandma took my arm and rejoined her brother and his wife. The four of us walked together up a long, winding driveway lined with limos, a few Lotuses, a brand new Grand Prix or two, and some shiny new test car I'd never seen before. I took it these were the cars Uncle Chester was concerned about. It was so obvious what an eyesore they would have looked like next to his economy vehicle. Old people do think the strangest thoughts. I wondered which ones the homosexuals drove. There weren't any outlandish colors or frilly decor in any of the interiors that I could see. Maybe they'd parked a mile away and walked, like we did. It was a mystery that wouldn't soon be solved since I had no intention of asking about it. No, thank you. This straight boy was his own woman, or something like that. As long as I talked and thought in the most masculine of ways, specifically having something to do with sports, my cousins shouldn't even come near me. Chester, Virgie, Lizzie, a shrill female voice shouted out, come in. Oh my God, you look so great. A woman, probably in her 50s, flew out the front door and gave Uncle Chester a huge hug. She then tenderly shook Aunt Virginia's hand and looked at Grandma. Oh, Lizzie, it's been years. She and Grandma hugged. I'm so glad you came. Leanne is going to be so thrilled that you flew in to see us. I wouldn't have missed it for the world. Grandma hugged her again, and I could see that her eyes were tearing up. It really was a sweet moment to watch, and I naturally assumed that this woman, who had more energy than anyone half her age, was undoubtedly my Aunt Karma. God, I wanted to hug her too. The spirit of the affair was really taking a hold of me. Aunt Karma turned and looked at me a moment after they parted, and one of the most gracious expressions I think I've ever seen appeared on her face. This woman was radiating beauty and energy in a way I had never seen before. It was as if pure grace and class flowed through her instead of blood. This was where I belonged. This was my family. Finally, at long last, she started to speak to me, and I longed to hear her welcome me to her home, invite me in to celebrate with them on this special occasion. You must be the hired boy. What? I had absolutely no idea what to say to that. Because I didn't have wrinkles or age lines, I was suddenly the hired help. I know this woman had pictures of me somewhere that Mom had sent in Christmas cards over the years. No, actually, I'm Lizzie's grandson, Andy. Nothing. No spark of recognition whatsoever. Marie and Donald's son, I spoke through clenched teeth. I might just as well have been Donnie and Marie's son since no one recognized me. Nah, come to think of it, that would make me inbred. Well, I could get a heck of a scholarship. Of course, Aunt Karma clasped her hands together and walked over to me. And you look so much like your mother. Father, I corrected. Whatever.
Thank you very, very much for that. That was awesome.
This was the book I discovered I had a sense of humor.
Oh my God. That was hysterical.
It was.
Why are you not a stand-up comic? I'm sorry. Like where?
My husband insists to this day I am not funny. He does not find me funny in the least.
Wow.
We need him on. We need to pull him in today.
Yeah, can you send him a text, Chris, and just tell me he has to jump in? Yeah, that I know it won't happen, but you know, I tried. Thank you very, very much. That was so cool. Okay, so I have to ask, because you've already been on our suspense leg, and you talked about your very heavy, dark suspense trilogy. Now, what is it now? A
Quadrilogy. Quadrilogy.
I wanted to say quadrilingual, but I don't think that's right either. So, how did you go? What was the transition like for you internally from a funny thing to falling awake? How did that happen?
That happened with 7 years of people dying. It happened with my father getting Alzheimer's and being a caregiver for him, and having my mother say, you know, not everything in life is funny, and then proving it, which really irritated me.
I hate it when parents do that.
Yes.
Me too.
I'm so impressed with your work. I love what you do. Thank you for making me laugh every day on Facebook.
It's a pleasure. I love making people laugh.
These are great books. I'm glad that you now are you going to republish these under your real name? What's the publishing status on these books? Because I know that they're kind of tenuous right now, and I have a feeling that after everybody sees this, they're going to want to go get them.
The publisher of them is Zumea. It's an actual publisher, and I had requested that she put them under my actual name, and she's been starting to do it a little at a time. I believe they're still available under the Cage Allen pseudonym. I think Gailius book, which I think of the three, that one is probably my favorite because I really went all out on that one as far as the humor went. But I think that one's available in ebook only at the moment.
Okay.
I think.
All right. I would love it if you would keep us updated, and when you know for sure that the books are available, if you could post links on our Facebook page, I would love that, because I know after your reading tonight, there's a bunch of people who are going to want to get their hands on your work.
It was a fun one. And the sequel, I enjoyed writing the sequel too. And I had intended on writing a third book. I just never got around to it.
Mm-hmm.
You will someday. After, Falling Awake is 10 books in, then you'll get back to this, I'm sure. All right, I'm going to show everybody again the screen just so you guys can see this. This is a great book. Can you tell us real quick, Kristoffer, about the artist? Because I think this is just brilliant art.
I honestly don't remember who the artist was. This was through the publisher. They had they gave me one opportunity to look at it. And the original cover was red. And all I remember is the person who was standing in the background, leaning against the wall, had their arms like this from the side and kind of like this, but it was all in shadow. And I told her, I said, I don't mean to be obscene, but it looks like this person has breasts. And this is not that type of novel. It's obviously.
Right.
So they changed that. They changed the background from red to blue, and that's how we ended up with the cover.
Awesome. The behind the scenes stories of the author's life, I think, is oftentimes as interesting as their work. So
I didn't tell you the one about the title, how I got the title.
Okay, tell us that real quick.
It's real quick. Do you remember Media Play?
I do.
I had no idea what the heck I was going to call this, but originally it was going to be called Gay for Dummies. That's what I wanted, but I didn't want to get sued for the for dummies.
Right.
I walked into Media Play, and the first thing they had musicals. I don't know why, and I was just kind of glancing through, and I'm like, oh, funny thing happened on the way to the forum, and I'm like, oh, sexual orientation done, sold.
Yeah.
That's how that came about.
So
Cool.
it's all because of Shakespeare, right?
Well, I was gonna say media play, but okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. I'm so grateful, and thank you. I know you may have to jump out early tonight, but thank you very much for supporting us all month and
My
being
pleasure.
here every night. We really enjoy having you here. Before I go, is there anybody who has questions for Chris before I let him disappear? Go ahead, Kate.
Does Kate have a question? Kate?
She said she did. You're
but
on
we
mute,
can't
Kate.
hear her, so it's okay. She's on mute. Kate, you're
Yeah.
on mute. She's just talking away.
You mean I've been like laughing and making my
yeah.
witty comments this whole time and nobody's ever heard me? All right.
That's right.
This is one of the wonderful things about this month. Kristoffer, I adore you. You know this.
I love you.
But I adore you. You tell me though, okay, here go Helm, a serious question. How do you feel, because this has been brought up a lot this month, about how should gay individuals feel about representing themselves as opposed to just why is this on gay individuals to represent themselves? Why is this a thing as opposed to
the rest of us who never have to mention who we are?
Thank you, Diana. I was struggling. I was on the struggle bus there. Yes, thank you.
I'll give you a short answer to it. Okay. Was it 4 or 5? Last time when we had a president who came into office prior to Joe Biden, the very first day this person took office, every mention of LGBT individuals was removed from every government website. Period. First day. So obviously that was going to be a fight to continue being seen daily. And I don't want to rely on somebody else to do it for me. I can go out there just as much as anyone else. I can be just as loud and obnoxious as anyone else. Why not? That's the short answer.
And might I say, you're really good at it.
And we adore you.
Absolutely. we do adore you. Thank you again, Chris. I'm terrifically in your debt.
My pleasure.
We're gonna move on. Hey, Angela.
Hey.
Angela is brand new to our community, and I'm super thrilled that we get to learn about her and learn about her writing. She's been coming to the event so far, and I'm really, really happy that we get to throw a spotlight on you tonight.
Thank you.
So I would like you, first of all, I want to show everybody the screen and show everybody your book. So this is Angela Crandall, and I love your the illustration of your headshot. I think that's really cool.
Thank you.
And this is your book, Kenya. Now, just to make sure so that everybody understands, this is LGBTYA, correct?
That's correct. It's for 14 and up. It does touch on some touchy subjects, such as one of the characters in the novel has dealt with self-harm. So,
okay.
Because she's trans, so.
But I think that's again, as we have talked with other authors this month, there are some really important issues that need to be mentioned in our work, just to make those issues less stigmatized and more accessible. So I'm really pleased that you're bringing in the courage to write about this. Tell me a little bit about your author background and how you came to this wacky world of writing.
Well, I actually started writing when I was in first grade, and I had a lot of problems at home. And so the person that was like one of my teachers, she's like, you should really use writing as your tool. So that's how it started. And then just throughout my life, I've always written poetry. I've always written stories. I never thought I could be a published author. And continuing on to college, I still wrote but I kind of got out of the habit. And then I had a situation happen where I lost some good friends because I consider myself bisexual and they had some problems with it. So I ended up separating myself from the toxicity I felt they were creating. And I joined a authors group. My husband introduced me to a gal named Natasha House. And so she kind of helped me on my writer's journey, and she helped me navigate Amazon And I had a friend of mine who teaches at Wayne State, Jamie Goodrich. She helped me with the editing of my first book, Myth. And so I didn't want to just come out and be like, oh, I'm LGBT, because I'd experienced bad things with people because of it. So I made my main characters hetero, and I made her best friend gay, and her best friend came out. And so I wrote these sort of novels, and then I wrote another book with absolutely no romanticism, no LGBT. And then I, got an idea for Kenya. I thought, I read a book about a girl that was in foster care, and I thought, well, what if this girl's questioning her sexuality? And what if she writes a poem about it and gets thrown out of her home, of her foster care home? And then, as I was writing it, the character of, gosh, can't even remember her name. I'm feeling on the spot now. But
That's all right.
Another character in my novel, who is her friend, I believe her friend's name is Kenya's friend Stella, comes to her town. And her town is like little, like Buckley or Masick, very, not really inclusive to anybody or to transgenders. And they're not really that nice about people like that. They're not like totally rude or mean, but it's kind of all hush hush.
Sure.
When she befriends this girl, her best friend Ava just kind of freaks out. And, Kenya is not cool with that. She's just like, no, we like weird. We like different. We're not like all these other people. So, it's just, and I really wanted to write this book because I thought kids in foster care, this could happen to any kid in foster care. And I mean, if there's not a lot of LGBT people out there to like support these kids, and a lot of people that.
The other thing too, I think, is that questions about fitting in, acceptance from a family who's not your own family, acceptance of friends in a town where you're new or maybe uncomfortable. I think these are universal topics that touch all of us, not just LGBT people, but I think everybody experiences a little bit of this. So in that way, I think that your writing, like Kristoffer's, is very universal and that everybody can connect to it. So talk to me. One of the things we were talking about in the green room was the conspicuousness of your absence in this book. If anybody's seen the book, Angela did a really cool thing, I think. She allowed the work to stand for itself, and there's no headshot. And other than the name on the cover, Angela just lets the work shine, and she doesn't try to take the spotlight from the work. So I think that's a really cool approach. And I know you told me the backstory in the green room, but if you could just condense that story just to a real quick understanding so that when people pick up your book, they'll have a better grasp on why they might not be seeing these things, because they weren't left out by mistake. This was an intentional thing, right?
I kind of did it on purpose just because I didn't really want to connect myself to this book like I did my other books, because I didn't want people to turn away from my other works that's like not LGBT based. So
I think it's a really cool technique. I think it's the alternative to having a pseudonym, right? So instead of
pretty much
talking a lot about yourself, you just have your name on the cover, and then you let people figure it out.
Exactly.
And I think that's an interesting approach to having a pseudonym, which is almost like having a whole nother personality, right, Chris? I mean, I've always said I don't know how I could write under a pseudonym, because if you don't call my name in public, I don't answer. So I'd sign the wrong name inside the book, and so that was always a struggle for me. So I think this is a really cool approach to avoiding those negatives about having a pseudonym. So I just wanted to congratulate you on that. I think
Thank you.
It's really a cool idea. Would you set up the book for us a little bit and then read, and then I'm sure we'll have questions after?
Yeah. So to set up the scene, Kenya and her best friend Ava are just finishing their homework when Kenya sees her friend Stella, who Ava hasn't met. So okay, let's see. Come get a coffee and bagel with me. My treat, Ava begged, placing her book into her bag. What about my paper? Ed offered Emily's computer, but I'd rather not, I drawled. She nodded towards the computers that were full of people. I sighed, leaned back, and took in the rest of the library. There were no kids at the kiosk near the children's library. Come on, it won't take me long to type it up. There's a workstation in the children's section. She groaned, but got up and followed me. In less than 20 minutes, we were waiting for my papers to print. Is that the girl you were talking about? Asked Ava, pointing to Stella, who rested her elbows on the circulation desk. She appeared to be checking out a book. Yeah, she's cool. We hung out yesterday until I had to race home for dinner, I responded, taking my papers from the tray. Did you know she is a he? Ava whispered, glancing around to see if anyone noticed us standing there. It crossed my mind, but it's not a big deal. She, he, it. Stella's a person. I like her, I hissed, aggravated at Ava's narrow-mindedness. Maybe Stella confused me too at first, but if she was happy, then who cared if she was a boy or a girl? I bent down, unzipped my pack, and yanked out a folder. I'm sorry, it's just weird. We like weird. Where are you, Ava? Are we living in a box society has made for us? I thought you were different, not like Emily or those bubblehead cheerleaders. Who knows what they might be hiding? At least Stella is true to herself, and she's authentic, I snapped. Standing up, I swung my backpack over one arm and stormed out of the library, leaving her in the middle of the children's book, stunned. I hurried along, not sure where to go, the wind whipping wisps of my hair in my face. I didn't want to go home, nor did I have any money to haunt the small local cafe near Midland Market. But I guess I could sit on the stoop. I'd mostly certainly pissed off my only friends, besides Stella. Hey, wait up. You ran out of there awfully fast. I had to sprint to catch up to you. Stopping, slumped against a tree in the park. Are you crying? Am I asked, wiping my face. I felt the tears that had trailed down my cheeks, staring down at the ground below me. You are. What did that girl say to upset you? Nothing, I said, gradually sliding my back down the tree of the trunk. I dropped onto the cold ground. She must have said something. My eyes drifted to the lake. Several ducks bobbed up from the surface and dived back under, searching for bugs. There were 2 small mallards and 1 girl duck. Forget it. I won't. Something is bugging you. Stella crouched down to meet me at eye level. I tore at the grass. How could I say it? Would it offend her? It might hurt you, I blurted. I've heard it all. Santa Monica has them too. What? I asked, gazing at her piercing blue eyes. I saw that girl whispering. Is that why you ran out? She implied you're a guy who dresses as a girl. She made it seem immoral. I don't care. As long as you're happy, I stuttered. Stella nodded, kindly placing her hand on my back. She patted it reassuringly, then chose to sit beside me. I'm transgender. It means I believe I was born in the wrong body. At first, my parents didn't get it. They kept claiming I'd lost my mind. For a while, I thought I had. It caused me to isolate myself. Sure, there were a few people who understood. For example, my friend Jack, who became Jane. The trouble was living with my folks, making them grasp it. I spent most evenings crying myself to sleep. For a short time, I believed I could force myself into being a man. It didn't work. It only made me more agitated, anxious, frantic, and I began to, what did you do? I mean, you're here now, so obviously things turned out okay. I tried to cut the pain. I never went too deep. I hid the small marks that resembled cat scratches for several months. Turtlenecks, light long sleeves, and once, when time dipped, a sweater, until one of my teachers noticed the marks on my inner arms. I remember it was the last performance of Othello. I played the part of Desmonda. Have you ever read it? I shook my head no, pulled my legs up to my chest and hugged them to my body. As I rested my head on my knees, tears welled up from behind my eyes. She'd walked in without knocking to tell me the boy who played Cyprus was sick. Another girl would be playing his part. Would it bother me? I said no, promised her I wouldn't cut anymore, but she wouldn't let it go. Later that night, Mallory spoke to my parents. She gave them the name of a counselor and we started going. It was either that or the psych ward. I chose to talk. Makes sense. I'm glad your parents finally decided to let you be yourself. Me too. Are you planning on sulking by this tree all day? Or do you want to go get ice cream? My treat, if that's okay. I let myself smile, and Stella got up, brushing the dirt from the bottom of her jeans. She held out her hand to help me up, and I took it. Thanks, I said, glancing at the clouds. Sniffing the air, I caught the scent of pre-rain in my nose. What are you, the air sniffer? No, but it might rain, I chuckled, hoisting my backpack onto both shoulders.
Well done. Very nice.
Thanks.
I'm really interested in reading the rest of this book. I love reading young adult anyway. I feel like it connects me to the newer generation coming up. So thank you very much for sharing this segment about what it's like to be a young person finding themselves. I appreciate that. Does anybody have any questions for Angela? Go Kate, go Kate.
As I do. This was just so wonderful. Please, first of all, thank you so much for sharing this. This is wonderful. What age would you suggest? I mean, I love this, but what age would you suggest that we start suggesting this onto other readers?
I just have thought 14 and up, maybe if a parent worries, they can read it first. There's in my LGBT books, there's very little sex. There's like hand holding, cuddling, kissing, nothing outlandish. I just worry about the topics because I know that some parents are sensitive to these issues. So.
But you know what, honestly, I'm just going to flat out say it. Would there be for other, not to you, Angela, specifically, but I'm really glad that you brought this up where, okay, is it okay for LGBTQ topics to be brought up as opposed to other, Diana, help me. I'm floundering here.
I kind of know what you're saying. Like,
yeah,
why
where
is
it's
it any
like
different than anything else?
you.
And I think it's because like it's been made so taboo. Like,
yes, thank you.
That's just the main thing. I mean, I'll give you an example of myself. In high school, I had a boyfriend, and he's like, "I'm straight. What are you?" And I thought, I'm not telling you I'm bisexual. I know I like guys and girls. I didn't even know what it meant. And I mean, so it's just.
I think it's stunning that we live in a society that has to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as opposed to why this is a conversation that we need to have him versus
like,
yeah.
But to me, that's like saying, is the sky blue? Well, does it matter?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yep.
What matters is, go ahead, Andrew.
I think there's a key that she said as she was reading.
I broke Andrew.
Yeah, he's breaking in and out.
Oh.
Yeah. No, Andrew, you're fading in and out. I'm sorry, sir.
It's
Angela,
my fault. It's my fault.
Andrew, I mean,
it's not your fault, Kate.
Angela, let me ask you this. There's a question from Luba. Is this a standalone, or are there plans for a series?
No, it is a standalone. It's just one book, and there's no plans for a series. So.
Okay. Awesome.
Honestly, Angela, I'm sorry that I'm so tongue-tied, but it was just so powerful. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. As a writer, you wonder sometimes. I write a lot of books. I don't get a lot of reviews or feedback. That's why I came to your street talk. Because to me, I just have a really hard time getting people to read my work.
We all do.
So
we all do, Angela. That's part of why we do this festival. Is for the additional outreach and the opportunity to broaden our community. So don't feel, I don't want you to feel like you're in a minority when you say you don't get as many reviews as you might like, because we're all struggling with that. And for those of us like Andrew and myself and Kristoffer and Kate, who have been, I don't know how long Caroline's been writing, but even though we've been at it for a while, it's still a struggle. So
yeah, struggle bus. We're all on it. But at the same time, just Caroline, just holler loud and proud about this, because honestly, especially, not that it should be up to 1 month a year, but just holler proud and loud, and we'll keep hollering after you.
Kristoffer, go ahead.
My 2 cents real quick too. One of the things I really enjoyed about it, Angela, was that one of the characters just wants to make everything, it's a non-issue, because that's how it should be a non-issue. But when you're talking even like high schools now, you read the news, even recently, and there are some states and some school districts who are saying you cannot teach anything about LGBT in classrooms, where kids who are going through this need this, where they need to know they're not alone. There are other people who have
Exactly.
gone through it or are going through it, and there is something available to them they can read that is about them.
Which I think is really important. Growing up, there were no books. I mean, I didn't
have anything either. Nothing.
So like, I really wanted to be able to write books that I would have wanted to read at that age, you know, that I could relate to.
What I find fascinating is that there's so many, maybe the word is too strong, but I feel like there are so many maligned individuals in our society now that books don't represent. And I am completely supportive of any type of literature because I think every voice needs to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the more we can do to stretch the ears of the world, I think it's our duty to do that through literature. So, thank
Everybody,
you very much.
Keep hollering, and we'll keep hollering after you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Caroline, any questions from you? You've been kind of quiet.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm just tired.
I just want to give you the opportunity.
Okay, well, now that I'm speaking, no, I really did enjoy it, and I agree that these are books that are so important, and that I wish that this is just a bit of an aside, but not really. There's this book that came out here in Canada, and the topic is a little bit different. It was written by a newcomer to the country, like a Syrian refugee, and they're actually making it into a graphic novel now. The book itself I thought was brilliant.
Cool.
But they're taking it and making it into a graphic novel, and I think they're going to try to get it into the schools, at least locally where he's from, to make it mandatory reading. And I kind of feel like, I mean, I think your book is great, and I'm not saying to change it,
Right.
not at all. But maybe looking at some sort of, so it becomes even more accessible, so it becomes even easier to pick up. Some sort of companion. This is just how my brain starts to think right away. to get it into schools or community centers, so that more kids can get their hands on this.
And I would invite you to come back in October when we do another wacky little festival, so that maybe you'll have the ability to reach even more ears and more eyes with your work. We would love to have you back.
Thank you. And thank you, Carolyn. That's a good point, because I did do a poetry book called Social Suicide, and I did actually donate like 10 copies to an area that deals with people with foster care, because it's all about accepting yourself. So it would be a good idea for me to maybe purchase some of these books and see if they would make it available to some of the kids there, that they could hand it out or make it available if they want to read it. So
Yeah, at the very least, put it in the school library. You know,
right?
Absolutely.
Or even, you know what? Or even like pride parades.
See, the original plan for Kenya, to be honest, was before COVID, and I was going to be down at Horizon Books, and I was going to sign books during Pride. That's what I was going to do, but unfortunately, COVID happened and ruined it all for me. So that was actually the original plan.
Sometimes life gets in the way of our plans. So, so what we do, we punt and we move on.
That's right. I agree. That's why I finished the book. I said, you have to move on. And there's been many times I've wanted to like throw in the towel with my day job and work. And I'm very fortunate that I have a lot of friends, including now you guys, who've been like, no, this is too important. Don't quit. Keep doing your dream. Eventually something will happen.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, I hear it a lot, and sometimes you need to hear it. So it's nice to have that back support from people.
Well, now you're a member of our community. You are now a member of our family. And so don't ever feel like you're on the outside again, because now you're on the inside looking out. So
thank you.
Welcome, welcome. I want to show everybody the screen again with Kenya, so you can find this amazing book. This is incredible artwork. I love the art on this book. It's so vibrant. I think you did a great job. Thank you so much for reading tonight. And everybody look for Angela Crandall. She's on Facebook, and she will be part of our Harbor Store catalog, which Kate has been throwing the link up throughout the night, and we'll talk about that at the end of the evening as well. Thank you again, Angela and Kristoffer.
You're welcome. Thank you, Chris.
You guys are great. All right. We are going to spin the spinning wheel of happiness because that's what we do here. We give away free stuff. Tonight, we are giving away one copy of each of our authors' books tonight. We're going to give away a copy of Funny Thing Happening the Way to My Sexual Orientation. That's a mouthful. And we're going to give away a copy of Kenya. Kristoffer, you look like you had something to say. Okay. All right, so let me see if I can share the screen. I've been having technical issues all week. I think the computer is starting to get fatigued with Zoom because my computer no longer wants to do audio through Zoom. I don't know why. But can you all see the happy spinning wheel?
We can see it.
Yay!
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to spin it twice and give away some books. Hold on, here we go.
I actually missed the music.
I do too.
Hooray! Lubalician! And I'm going to say it again just because, you know, I've been practicing for a year. Lubalician! She won a book! Can't tell you how happy I am that I know how to say her name. I can't even begin to tell you. Okay, and now we're going to spin the wheel again for Kenya. Hold on.
The other person you've been practicing.
The other name I've been practicing. I can't begin to tell you how cool this is. Amy Kelso gets a book. Here, let me say it again. Amy Kelso gets a book. Now, why is Kelso a difficult name? Because it's K-L-C-O, not spelled the way it sounds. Very, very cool.
You've said it so often, I know how to pronounce it now.
I know,
Yeah, same.
But the great thing about this is that I say everybody's name so much that now it's becoming so recognizable. Everybody's names are becoming a part of our community lexicon, which means they're going to be easier to find your books. So this is
Diana,
why I'm redundant.
Why am I say? How do you say my last name?
McNeil.
Okay.
You tripped me up, didn't you? I'm not going to do the whole. I'm not going to do the whole name because I'll mess it up. She's got like one of those royal European names that there's like 8 words.
18, like.
No, don't even. Okay. So, congratulations, Spinning Wheel of Happiness winners. You're probably wondering how it is you get your books. Kristoffer is so adept at this. He's going to tell you how you get your books.
So if you did win tonight, what you're going to do is send Diana an email by midnight tonight to diana@pagespromotions.com to claim your prize. Make sure prize is claimed via email will be added. Oh, yeah. If you don't, we're going to put oh my God, I can't talk.
Okay, so let me just do this for you, Chris, because I know you've been up since like before the sunshine. Just send me your mailing address. I'll send you the book. It'll all be good.
It's all
what she
Kristoffer's
said.
fault. No, it's all his fault.
It's Kristoffer's fault. Okay.
Totally his fault.
So moving on. If you get a book, you might find one of our snazzy Life Raft lottery tickets inside the book. Chris, do you want to try this or you just want me to do it?
This one I know.
Okay, go ahead.
So if you win a book, you will find one of these little lottery cards inside. You're going to take it out and you're going to scratch it off the sale. You're either going to be a winner or not a winner. If you've won, you're going to take a picture of the card and you're going to send it to Diana. Wouldn't hurt to put it on Facebook also, and that way you will be eligible for one of some fabulous bonus prizes. Some bonus prizes even given by folks who are not taking part in the festival this year, but who decided to donate anyway because they love it so much and they want you to win.
Absolutely. See how much fun we're having? This is a wacky. See, Angela, you had no idea what you were getting involved with.
It's okay. I like wacky.
You're gonna fit in just fine. Here's more wackiness for you.
That's right.
Shoreline.
Yeah, if you do get that winner label, then you're gonna have to get dressed up and you're gonna perform this poem dramatically. And I'm gonna before I read the poem, I'm going to let everybody know that there's already videos that are coming up on Facebook that are pretty cool. And I think there's been one or two people who didn't win who are still throwing their hat in the ring that are really cool. So make sure you don't delay when you find that winner sticker. So the poem is, out of my window looking in the night, I can see the sailboats flickering light. Starboard shines green and port is glowing red. I can see the sailboats straight ahead. Sailboats, are there treasures in your holds? Many trunks filled with silver and gold? Sailboats, are there captains at your helm, bringing books for readers of our town? And what's going to happen is when you post that video on Facebook, we're all going to vote, and we're going to pick 5 of our favorite videos, and you're going to win even more prizes, because you know that stack of books on your nightstand isn't big enough.
The goal is to be suffocated by your TBR list. That's the goal here. So there's one other little incentive thing I want to tell you about. Some of you know from the beginning of the month when I first talked about it, this poem is a derivative from a campfire song I learned as a Girl Scout. If you come to the Venetian night party, the rap party on June 30th, you might hear me sing the song. Might.
Wow.
I know. I don't sing in public. So come to the Venetian night rap party, June 30th, 7 o'clock. It's open to everybody who wants to come. It will not be recorded. We encourage you to come in costume. So join us for that. Okay, Andrew, are you in a safe place?
I'm pulled over. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Awesome. All right, Andrew, will you tell us about the super amazing ultimate performance prize?
Why, yes, I will. Just for everybody. So it's not all. You got all these potential prizes, and at the end, everybody that's there will vote for the ultimate performance. And that performance will win a grand prize to embrace the thrill of fear. Hey, it's going to be fun. You're going to start with a copy of A Slice of Fear by Little Old Me, and then take your $50 Barnes & Noble gift card down to Barnes & Noble and get some fun books, some games, maybe some pirate booty. You're going to have a blast. But that's not all. You're not done. You've got to eat. Rallies. Oh, wait, no, you've got to eat and do other things. So you're going to take your $25 American Express gift card.
Oh, you're on mute. Hold on, stop.
I broke him.
Okay, Andrew.
I'm here.
Okay, $25 gift card. What are we going to do with that?
You're going to get food or anything. You'll get even more pirate booty. But in the end, you're going to face your fear and have a great time spending money. It'll be fun.
Thank you, Andrew. Andrew is en route from Kentucky tonight, so we appreciate him dropping in and being so super supportive as he has been all month. Thank you very, very much, Andrew. Something else you guys may not know about, or maybe you do, we're having a race, a virtual race just for the authors. We're going from Port Huron to Mackinac. This is after the actual sailing race that takes place every summer here in Michigan. I'm not sure if they're doing it this year because of COVID, but anyway, here we go. As you can see, 2 of our captains, Kristoffer Gair and D.A. Reed, Deborah Reed, have already reached Mackinac, and they're still racking up points. So join us every night. Name your favorite captain or captains in the registration. We've got 5 more days of this left. We're up to 400 Shoreline Spectators so far. And the winning captains will get the snazzy medal that you see there. And then out of all the snazzy medal winners, we will choose on Venetian night a captain of the fleet. And they will get all the snazzy prizes you see on the right-hand side of the screen. But wait, that's not enough. We need to connect you with these authors and their astounding books. How do we do that? Kate.
Well, there's this ship right off the shore. It's called the SSCIA. But at the same time, Diana did manage to bribe me into providing all of the links to the actual authors. You guys do not need to worry that this is just going to go to I don't know, it's going to pay off the Diana. No, it's not. Honestly, Diana is one of the most wonderful people in the world, and all of the links that are in the Harbor Shore are going to the authors themselves. So I'm about to pop into the chat right there. Click on that. You know you want to. You know you need to, right? And all of that is going straight back to the authors because Diana is just that much amazing.
Not really that much amazing. I'm just
Yes,
that passionate. I'm that passionate about indie authors. So
you really are.
Here's one more thing I need to tell you about the Harbor Store. We will be revising it through the month of July. I will be making this catalog a more inclusive catalog, and we will be putting all of the authors from past festivals in this catalog so that you can get year-round, forever access to everybody's books. So we're going to build that out. It's what we call in the boat business a refit. So we're going to refit the catalog throughout the month of July. So when August comes around, you're going to be able to get access to all of the authors that we've connected to in the last year. I know, Kate, don't look at me like that. Okay.
I know.
So check it out. It's going to be fun. You're going to
These
be able to
books
connect
are all amazing. Just ignore me.
You're going to be able to connect to authors in a faster, easier, more streamlined process. So that's my goal, is to outdo Amazon for indie authors. That's my goal. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. I appreciate you. Everyone who came into the room tonight, my Harbor crew, authors, thank you very much. As we always do at the end of each evening, shots across the bow. Angela, Crandall, do you have any parting words for us?
I'm just really happy to be able to be a part of a group. I kept going in and out of different author meetings. I had one in Cadillac for a while, and then COVID killed that. So it was really great to be able to find a group online. They're willing to connect not only in person, but online. I just am really grateful.
Thank you. Andrew Smith, I want to get you while we got you. Shots across the bow, sir.
It's people calling me. They mess up my phone. I was really impressed tonight. I got to listen, and I got to listen into two really good authors, and Kristoffer always makes me laugh, and I'll be looking at Angela a little bit more closely now. But I just, what I was going to say earlier is it's nice that the character in her book acknowledged somebody for who they were instead of some label, and the world will become a better place the moment that we all recognize that we're all just here together and stop looking for reasons to be different. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Caroline, shots across the bow, ma'am.
Yeah, and it's Caroline, by the way, my name again, every time. There's always something.
Oh no.
You know what it is? You've messed with Drake's head, and now I can't spell. So.
On a serious note, though, I really enjoyed the readings tonight, and I agree with what Andrew was saying. I mean, these books need to be everywhere. I hate, I lived in Poland for a while, and I was participated in the Pride March, and we had 2 rows of cops in full riot gear on either side flanking the floats. And so, I've seen it from that angle too, and I just feel like, get these books translated and sent overseas to the countries that, not that it's not needed here in North America, because of course it is, but I just get them over there too, because there's so many people around the world that need these books. And then Kate, later, I really need to know your full name, because I guarantee my original name is longer and more complicated.
You're right.
Challenge. Woo!
In the Harbor Crew chat, we'll do that in the Harbor Crew chat, okay?
No, she wins.
Kate, shots across the bow.
No, pretty much I'm just going to say what, honestly, what Andrew said. This shouldn't even have to be a separate day, week, or month, but it is. So go out there, just make the extra effort to make those, to get it out there. It shouldn't have to be, but it is. So please, everybody, go out there and do it. Just get, oh God, I can't even, this was tonight. It was wonderful.
Thank you, madam. Kristoffer, I know it's been a long day.
Is she still in the
Thank you
car?
so much. Do you have shots across the bow, sir? And then we'll let you go to bed.
I have not read from that book or the other two comedies I've written in a long time. And I got to tell you, it was so much fun reading something that was lighter, that was just fun for me. And it made me realize that there is a comedy in my head that I do want to write. It's about 2 books away before I do, but I am, after tonight, kind of itching to want to get back into writing something a little more humorous again.
Oh, good. Yay! More
So
books
this
to
was
look
fun.
forward to. I love that. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Andrew, especially, drive safe. Be careful. We love you. Have a wonderful evening, everybody, and we'll be back again tomorrow night. Good night.
Night.
Night.